Hey, good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of An Hour with Bob. I am so happy we're back in action after, 17 months, I think, we were out of action. Yeah, because of the pandemic. But with us tonight, one of my favorite guests in all my years, and I've been doing this for 29, so this is a real compliment. We got Steve O'Donnell, formerly of the Rhode Island State Police, presently of the Greater Providence YMCA, with Rose Jones is with him.
Yeah.
How you doing, folks?
Really well. Thanks
We're
for
doing
having
well.
us.
You're
Thanks
doing
for
well.
having us. Always.
Nice to see you. Always a pleasure to see you.
Likewise.
How you doing? What's up? What do you got?
We're
What's
doing great.
going on?
Rose is
What's the
our-
Y's doing?
Rose is our brand spanking new Vice President of External Affairs, which is runs the gamut of government relations, which she won't be able to do for a little while because she's former from state government, but taking the Y to another place. So the Y, just like you, semi-shut down for a period of time because of all the restrictions with COVID. So we kind of reinvented ourselves. We lost some staff because of COVID, fear that...
Yeah, everybody did, I guess.
But we look at it as, the negative to positive, an opportunity. Right. So we looked at opportunities, and Rose and I were just having a conversation a few months ago about work in general, and I'm like, why don't you come work here? And so she said, really? So that's really how it happens. So we have a team of leaders, a new team that's come in the last month, Rose being the newest, that we're taking in a totally different direction. How we survived during the pandemic is probably really a cool story really for the public.
It is, I'm sure it is.
Because we're a membership-based organization, so if 100% of your money goes away, what do you do? So
what did you do?
Well, what we did was we tightened the ship up. We unfortunately had to furlough, lay off a lot of employees.
Right.
We were closed for a period of time because of regulations. When we opened up again, we realized we're not going to survive with membership. Thankfully, some of our members continue to pay their fees while we were closed to help us. So we had to figure something out. So what we did was we worked with government agencies. One was with the Department of, the former Department of Elderly Affairs, Office of Health and Aging, finding grants. So we had a grant writer looking for where the money is.
Right.
We looked federally, locally, the federal government underwrites the state government, and we found grants for food inequity. And we recognized that our staff, a lot of our staff, were going hungry, that were furloughed, our own staff.
Wow.
So we started delivering food to our own staff. We got involved in other food programs. We got involved where those food programs could pay for our employees to deliver food to those that were needy, and the need was unbelievable. We knew from our staff, but we really didn't understand the magnitude. So we partnered with a lot of different organizations, the Elijah Project, Office on Healthy Aging, and delivered food. Put on the doorbell, we'd ring a doorbell, leave, there was no contact because of COVID, and it kept people employed. Then we also used our facilities.
Plus you fed a lot of people.
And that's the best thing. Just watching their faces. I remember going with some of our senior staff, ringing the bell, waving to people, and it was just like, they bless you.
Sure.
So it's led into, we continue to do that, but we figured out when the Y opened up again, nothing else opened within restrictions. So when sports like basketball was okay to use basketball with mask, we rented our facilities. Pools were the safest place to be in COVID. We work with the governor, the former governor.
It is the safest place to be?
It is.
Why is that?
It's a great question. So
Because of the chlorine?
Chlorine kills.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And when you swim, you're exhaling out, but you inhale. So I'm sorry, you inhale when you're out, you exhale in the water. So when you're breathing, you're not blowing your air, or maybe if you have
the
COVID,
carbon dioxide,
anything. Yeah, you're getting it out into the water, and the water kills it. And when you bring in the air, and you're bringing it when you turn. So
that makes sense.
And educating the state government on that. And so we work with Governor Raimondo and then Governor McKee on restrictions to help them, because the Y, swimming and safety around water is one of our pillars. So we kept the pools open. They were restricted. They weren't 30 persons in the pool. It was lane restrictions to 1 or 2 people. So we figured out how to use them by the hour. You have 6 people come in, 6 people come out. We had to make sure they showered properly, and they had to clean after everybody showered. So we changed our business model. We did a fundraiser in the middle of it where a gentleman named Malcolm Chase, that everybody probably knows that name.
Of course.
Well, he saw the work we're doing, and he called me. He said, Steve, I want to help.
Nice.
And so he did, and he donated $50,000 to the Y. Wow. And he challenged me to get people to do the same, and we raised about $300,000 in 2 weeks.
Wow.
$50,000. The Pepito Foundation came in, helped us. They donated $50,000. Green Development donated 50,000, and then we had 5, 10 other different companies
Sure.
come in. So that helps the bottom line because that can be used for anything. So again, gym rentals, food programs, what did we just talk about so I don't lose my train of thought? Fundraising.
Right.
And then figuring out other ways to keep us engaged with the community. Basically talking to people, getting out there, and then when we started to open up again, even last summer when we closed inside, we rented tents and we had outdoor classes.
Now, when you said pools, how many pools you got? How many places you
Well, we have
operate?
6 facilities in Greater
Right.
Providence YMCA, and we have a camp. So we have a Y in the east side of Providence,
Which I used to go to, yeah, well, I go to, I
Barrington,
should say.
Seekonk, South County, and Kent.
I like Seekonk, on Newman Ave.
What's called the
Oh,
Newman Y.
Yeah, Newman Y, yeah.
So the pools have been, a godsend for us because the active older population getting in there, people with compromised immunities can get in the pool and use it, get in, get out. So we opened it up from 6 in the morning to 6 at night, 7 at night, 8 at night, whatever it would be, almost every day. And worked again with the government agencies getting the pools active because it's what we do. And you can still get some cardiovascular experiences from it. When the gyms opened up, there were restrictions. We had basically, if you extend my arms, 6
Right.
feet by 6 feet, we had to block them off. Our members were remarkable. And if that can get out there publicly, that they would come back as best they could. And there's some people who said, we'll do it. We also did virtual. And we changed our model where we'd have you put on a Zumba class. And we'd videotape it and we'd shoot that to our
No
members.
kidding, really? Yeah?
And so it's a model that we're going to stay
You
with.
wouldn't want me putting on a Zumba
We
class.
might. So, but it's all in the energy of the instructor.
Right.
And we have it from young people right to active older adults.
Right.
And so they can do their own exercise. We actually rented some of our equipment to our members. They could take it out. So small barbells, Les Mills things, and send it. They could work out in their house. So we found a different way to raise revenue. We weren't making money off it. Certainly, we were still losing money. We applied for the PPP loans.
Right,
And
yeah.
we rejected for CARES 1, 2, and 3. And then we had too many employees. That was the bar. There was some serious lobbying going on with our federal delegation, with the congressmen and the senators.
Sure.
And then YUSA across the country was really instrumental in lobbying to get the bigger Ys a piece of that pie, and we ended up getting $2.5 million from PPE.
Oh, and Tom Brady could get a lot of money, then you should have got some money.
Well, it's funny, Bob, you look at the money that some of the places got. I looked at the Foxy Lady got $2 million. So
200 what?
$2 million.
The Foxy Lady?
Foxy Lady. Restaurants got $1.7 million. It's no knock on them. They provide a service and they deliver food. But it really was a struggle for us to find a way within the rules to get a loan, and then we have to make sure it's forgivable. So
Right, so yeah, exactly.
So you have to make sure you're complying with the rules, you're paying
Right.
salaries and all those things.
Becomes a grant instead of a loan.
Exactly, and so that's really, really important for us. So the amount of money that our cash flow in March of 2020 is the same we have right now. It's a miracle.
Wow.
Same amount of cash flow that we had
Wow.
18 months ago is what we have today, without going in further debt. Now, we sold a piece of property during COVID at the request of our board of directors, and that money was used to help us survive that period. But we believe this first half of the year, that right now we're doing okay budget, and we've managed the budget going into December. But if we survive that in a really good place, and that 2.5 becomes manageable, forgivable, we'll be in a much better place. Our overall goal, Bob, and to our viewers, is the Y in Providence. Our mission is Providence. We're the Greater Providence YMCA. That is not knocking where we are in any part of the state.
Right.
We want them to thrive. But the Greater Providence Y had a Y in Rhode Island that rocked the city. It's the old crossroads. So you probably remember it when you were a
I
kid.
do. You know what we used to call that?
What?
YMCA,
Why?
because it was the administrative offices of Roger Williams College.
I didn't know that. It's amazing.
I graduated from Roger Williams.
Well, it's amazing you say that, because Springfield College is like a Y training college, and we have permission to, we could make a college out of the Y by law. So that's what happened when they closed that building for 20 years. That initiative in Providence kind of died its own death. Now, we certainly have a program that we run right where I work in South Providence, but it's not robust, it's not that big. So our goal is to find a piece of property and build a state-of-the-art Y in the urban center, change the world. And what I mean by that is the shootings, employ people, give people opportunity, As you see this year, the shootings and the gun violence is
Right.
greater than ever. Some of it's COVID-related, some of it's not COVID-related. We have a piece of that, we believe. The team is a perfect example why Rose is
Right,
here.
right.
That we've put together is urban-driven.
Yeah.
That we want to do the right thing for the urban community, because as Providence goes, as you know, the state goes. So can we help with the learning curve? We have students that have lost a lot of their academic prowess because of COVID. We have after-school programs that can help supplement them. We're not going to, we're not going to take the place of Providence school system, but we are an avenue that kids can go to. We want to provide them with job training. We've had the laborers support us, job training. We were just
Oh,
talking.
God, make anybody electrician. If I had a kid today, I'd
Or
want him to
boat
be a
builder.
plumber, electrician, a carpenter, any of those trades. I can't find an electrician to do a fire system in my house.
Same with us. So,
And if you do find one, they want so much money, it's crazy.
so that's our goal, is to just be part of that, and that overall plan is, our strategic plan really is, that will help. We're a piece of that violence piece. We think if you can employ a lot of these kids before they get into that realm where they're difficult to bring back, that we have a piece of it. We don't own the whole thing, but with my background and the team I'm putting together, we've got credibility in the community. People know who we are. We know that we mean business. We can kind of help bridge that gap. And so if we have this building, this big setting, there's all programs, the limit, maybe a 24-hour Y in the middle of Providence.
Wow.
That works the way the in-town Y worked. That's our goal. And our board is fully engaged. Our whole team's fully engaged. When we get that piece of property, we're going to be out asking for donations to build that piece of property.
Do you have an idea of location? You don't have to tell me, but you have.
No, we do. We've been talking for years about the Urban League. The Urban League is really a building that's, it's
Underutilized.
well, it's not even underutilized. It's really uninhabitable. It's in rough shape. Where the Urban League is, their office is okay, but everything else next to it, it's really in rough shape.
Now, where's that, on Broad Street or Elmwood? Where is that?
No, Prairie.
Oh, it's Prairie, but what Prairie intersects
It's
with?
right at the back side of Rhode Island Hospital. It's one block.
Oh,
from
yeah,
Rhode Island
yeah,
Hospital.
that's why I know where,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So for us, it's perfect location, but it's kind of tied up in some litigation between the city, a venture capitalist,
And the
courts,
state, too, or
receivership.
something, right?
The state's
No?
not involved, but
No?
the city is. So we're involved, and we talk to the Urban League at length. I have meetings with them all the time. If that property can come over to us and we pay for it, then we're going to raise it, work with the city, and build something that can impact the city, which will help the kids in the city, will help the
And
families
that
in the
puts it
city.
right in the place it should be, too.
That's where we want to be, and so we're a need-based organization. So we're excited about it. It doesn't always happen as fast as we like it to, because government's government, and you got what's happening with COVID. So I'm beyond happy with our performance. A lot of us thought, well, how are we going to survive when you have no income? And we figured it out. And one thing I've learned being at the Y, and you research it, 175-year organization around the country. When you talk to other leaders at the Y, in fact, like the YUSA president, we've talked about this. Every time there's a crisis, the Y has figured out how to pivot. So the other Ys had food programs, and now food programs are a staple across the country. Where
Really?
during COVID, it's unbelievable the amount of tons of food that were delivered by Ys across the United States, and that's cool, because that's what we should be doing. We should be recognizing that there are people with problems, and most of them, if not all, not because of themselves. It's just they've been dealt a bad hand, and then COVID on top of that.
Made it
So,
worse.
Absolutely. So we're happy in the direction we're going. I'll let you talk to Rose, so I'll stop.
Hi, Rose.
Hi.
How are you?
I am doing really well.
Now,
Really excited.
how do you like working with this guy?
Well, it's day 2 and it's fabulous so far.
Only day
But no,
2?
No, I joke. Yes, on the job it's day 2, but Steve and I have long known each other,
Right.
and certainly, as he mentioned, during the pandemic, we were locked arm in arm trying to ensure that people in the community had what they needed. The YMCA was a critical partner in the food and security work that we've been doing. Like he mentioned, during this pandemic, it really highlighted the severe situation that families face in the
Right.
community in terms of access to food. 25%, 1 in 4 households lack adequate food resources right now. So without nonprofits and organizations like us out there on the front line getting the food to families, our families are really struggling right now. So we did tremendous work together during the pandemic. I was very fortunate to be leading the Office of Healthy Aging, who was at the forefront of the state's response in this pandemic. We were able to get a lot of money out, and funnel that money, of course, through organizations like the YMCA to deliver on these programs in the community. So it was a blessing in that way. But, you know, I am originally from Providence. I'm originally from South Side, where I now get to work with this incredible gentleman
Now, where are
every
you
day.
from in Providence? Where?
Right off of Broad Street. So
kidding.
yeah, so I'm between South Side and West End, Wiggins Village, A Court. So I just want to shout out my A Court there. But I grew up between the two, and the building that that we're in, St. Joseph's Hospital, where he was born, and I went to the
Oh, my
dental
God.
clinic. It's amazing to
That
be
hospital,
back there.
my son spent 5 weeks in that hospital, 11 days in a
See?
coma
Really?
in St. Joseph's Hospital.
Yeah.
As a baby?
Yeah.
Huh?
As a baby?
No, it was a 14-year-old kid. He got hit by a car, and he almost went over the overpass on 95 in Pawtucket near St. Jean's Church, and he hit the abutment. And they give him, they juiced him right there on the scene. They juiced him in the wagon on the way to Memorial. They juiced him in Memorial. Then the doctor ended up putting the sheet over his head and walked away. And I was right behind the door watching them. And the two firemen, one of them knew me. He goes, "Doc, why are you giving up?" He goes, "He's gone." He says, "Well, you didn't turn it up higher. Try it again." And he wouldn't do it. He just he walked away. The two firemen pulled the sheet down. One guy said clear, and the other guy put the things on him, zapped them, and all of a sudden the monitor lit up again.
That's crazy.
And when they stabilized him, I went out to the head nurse and I said, "As soon as he's stable, I want him out of this hospital." And I had him ship him over to St. Joseph's. He spent 5 weeks at St. Joseph's Hospital.
Wow.
My son Matthew.
Thank God.
God
Yeah.
bless.
He was dead. I mean, the priest, the chaplain from the hospital was out talking to my wife, telling her that your son just passed away.
Wow.
That was
Thank God.
a weird thing, yeah. But
Absolutely.
St. Joseph's Hospital, and now it's not even a
Yes.
hospital anymore, right?
No.
Just
Well,
the why.
yeah.
And you were born there.
Yeah.
I was born there. Same wing that we work now.
Now, where did you grow up? I knew you grew up.
Health Avenue. It runs between Atwells and Chalkstone. Do you know where Blessed Sacrament Church is?
Yes,
2 blocks, 2 streets down.
2 streets down.
Health Avenue, and then when I got out of college, I bought a house for my dad on Regent Avenue, and then eventually moved to Smithfield.
Now, Minelli's might have been a good spot for you when you were a kid, right?
Yeah,
On
Minelli's,
Chalkstone?
Smith's,
And the Welcome,
Welcome.
right?
It was-
And the Chalkstone House?
Well, the Welcome was the Chalkstone House, right?
Well, the Welcome was next to the theater, next to the
Right,
Castle
the Castle
Theater,
Theater, yep.
right? Chalkstone House is right on the corner, which is now a Brazilian restaurant.
Oh, Los Andes.
Los
Yep,
Andes.
Yep,
Yeah, that's where the
Yeah.
Chalkstone House was.
yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, the Welcome was right up the street too. All those companies at the time sponsored Little League Baseball where we played, so that was like a 10-block radius. That's where it's where you grew up.
Those were the days.
Yep.
But we all hustled as kids. We all worked as kids. We all did something to make money. Everybody did something.
Shoveling.
You can't
working.
find a kid to do shoveling in the wintertime now. You can't find them. They won't do it.
It's hard.
They won't do it. Well, we all did.
Well, the old neighborhood was so cool because you had 2, 3 tenements, sometimes 4 or 5, 1 tenement, whatever it may be. But you knew all your neighbors, you know all the parents, you know all the kids, good or bad. So your parents knew everything you're doing because someone's talking.
Right.
But everyone looked out for each other. It was,
They didn't even lock doors back then.
yeah. And so it just, it's the world's changed. The urban settings changed, the suburban settings changed. But to me, I wouldn't change that for a second because you got to understand, it helped me, honestly, growing up where I grew up, because I tell the story, right across the street from my house was a mob hitman who dated,
Right across the street.
dated the woman across the street. He's still alive, and I was kind of perplexed as a kid, like, why does everyone treat this guy with such reverence? Because I was probably more capable in my hands than he would be, but someone said, oh, no. And then, so you get to learn the urban culture of, wise guys or career criminals, and you got to mix with them. So when I end up hitting the street, it wasn't adverse to me that I never saw this before because you grew up around it, and it becomes part of your culture. You might not like it, but it's
You got to
around
deal with it.
Yeah.
You have to
Like you
deal
do.
with it.
Yeah. I actually think that one of the things that's so exciting about thinking about the growth of YMCA and the vision and having, a new in-town branch, if you will, in Providence, one of the wonderful things about it is it brings a sense of that community back, some of what
Oh,
we
yeah.
have lost.
Yeah, of course.
A
Yeah.
place for the kids to be, for the older
A light.
adults to
It's
be,
a
bring
light.
the whole family, yes. It really is a light. you know, I get really excited by the prospect and really happy to be on the team to help bring it into fruition, right?
Yeah, bringing back a smile where someone walks in the door and says, good morning.
Yes.
And from when you do that now, some people look at you like,
Why are you saying hi to me?
yeah, and I walk
Well,
into
like, what do you want?
well, I walk into a 7-Eleven and I'm like, good morning. And then they respond back to you. I'm like, I got a job for you. Because at our branches, the first thing you want is someone walking in saying, good morning, can I help you? Good morning,
Right.
ma'am. Or, good morning, Bob. That value in business, especially in a Y and nonprofit, maybe it's something we could talk about too, is nonprofits. Like nonprofit, some people think nonprofit means you don't make any money. If you're not making money, you will go under in a
Right.
nonprofit. So I'm not sure why they call it a nonprofit except the way it's set up. But it's important for us to tell our viewers that membership matters, programs matters, attending. Those with means can help donate, because when you
Sure.
donate, you're underwriting somebody else's that might not be able to afford it. And we hear that all the time. I can't afford your swim lessons. We have an active swim program now where we're actually soliciting donors for a lot of money. One, to teach kids how to swim, teach adults how to swim, because if my children can swim or can't swim and I got to go in to get them, I don't know how to swim, you got
Right,
a problem.
right.
So adults, active older adults, which means people that are aging, learn how to swim. It's a great cardiovascular thing. It doesn't impact
I always
your
was
joints.
told that swimming was the best exercise.
There's no impact to your joints.
Right.
So that, and then in addition, I was listening to your previous guest, and he was talking about having a problem hiring people. We do too. It's getting staff to work in our after-school programs, to be lifeguards, to be counselors. It's hard because whatever's happening with the government underwriting, unemployment, things like that, to make it difficult. So we're having the same struggles everyone's having across the country, hiring people. So our camps are limited, how many people we can bring in for camps. We have kids on waiting lists because we can't have enough staff, and we have to have ratios that works.
Right, right.
So one of our fundraising pieces is to pay lifeguards overtime to make it competitive to teach kids how to swim, if that's what works for us. Because a lifeguard, think of their responsibility. Some of them make $12 an hour.
Somebody said to me the other day that you talk about someone that deals with the life and death of someone. Who does it more than a lifeguard?
I agree.
More so than even the ambulance or the rescue.
It's a huge
In
responsibility.
a different way, of course.
And they could be 16 to X amount of age.
Yeah.
And think of that, you own that pool. So for us, we're looking at innovative ways to help pay them. Not like they're more important than the person who answers the phones or someone at the desk. But to your point, the person who answers the phone is not really going to deal with a life and death situation. A lifeguard, the potential is always there. So we're looking
Every day.
for philanthropic people to step forward and understand that we want people to swim. We want them to be safe around water. You look at Massachusetts, they had about 60 people so far have died this year around water, pools,
Really?
ocean, whatever it may be. You had the incident last week with a 2-year-old that was left behind in a pool. 11-year-old was watching her and she got revived, luckily, so you didn't have to hear about a fatal. But safety around water, we're in the ocean state, so we're out there kind of beating the trees, asking people to help us. You know, if it's thousands and thousands of dollars to underwrite a program that might save lives, that's really good
That's
stuff.
worth it,
That's
yeah.
exactly what we should be doing. And it should not be just in the urban core, but I think the statistics show that African Americans die at almost 2 times the rate of everybody else around water for incidents. So we got to hit the urban community and teach them how to swim.
And that's because they don't know how to swim,
Because
right?
they never have the opportunity. So most of the time, it's affordability, because you have to pay for swim lessons. You have to pay to go
Right, you're
lifeguard
right. Yeah,
training.
exactly.
So sometimes it's basically it's swim lessons or eating. You got to eat. So I don't think a lot of people understand that that's real out there. There's a huge poverty piece where someone has to decide, I'm going to feed my children. I can't give them swim lessons. So we have to educate people, and the people that have that money certainly donate some money, and that can happen. And so saving a life is powerful stuff, and teaching is even more powerful. And then that connection between a teacher and the kid, there's so much good that comes out of what we're trying to do that, like you can tell by our demeanor, we're very excited about taking care of what we should take care of. We're part of that solution, and we're glad to be.
It's amazing how you made the jump. You know that, don't you?
Everyone says that, but it really isn't, because what I will tell you this is the same with Rose. Everybody pigeonholes people in business. That if you're in the media, that's all you know. If you're what I did for a living, there's so much more than what people perceive it is. So you have these transferable skills that leadership's leadership. It doesn't matter if you're in Burger King.
Oh, that's true, factual, that's
Yeah.
factual.
Yeah, and it's people, and knowing, understanding how people think and how you can help people. And one of the things that I left on the table with the state police, in my opinion, was I felt that we built this community program that was really strong, and the leaders in the minority community were really angry at me when I left. I sat down with probably
Really?
30 of them, and I'm leaving, and they're like, what are we going to do? I said, well, there's always the next person, but the next person might not have the same ideology
Right,
as you.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
And you can build that bridge,
same
but
thing.
I believed in it because I grew up in it, and I understood it, and I understood how you think if you grew up the way, and I didn't grow up poor, by the way, but I grew up in an urban setting to understand how everybody thinks, how we interact, and why you think the way. I worked in a prison as a correction officer, so I saw it firsthand that I tell everybody like 98% of the people in prison aren't bad people. And people look at me like, what are you, crazy? And I teach in college, and I survey them, and everyone, it's 50%, 80%. No, it's just, a lot of people in there have done
Bad
things.
breaks, unlucky
Yeah,
breaks.
they've done some bad things, but they're not bad people.
A lot of times just stupid things.
Yeah, and some, you know, the violent piece where they react to something and they have access to a gun and then they respond. If they don't have access to that gun, then you take away that anger that goes
Right.
with all the shootings. And candidly, that's part of what our vision is. If we can make programs when violence happens everywhere, but if we can diminish those, think about the money besides the human capital you could save. Because if you knew the amount of money it costs to repair people that live from shootings.
Right, oh, yeah.
So say 20 people were killed in Rhode Island so far
Right.
this year. I don't know if that's factual, that's pretty close. I'll bet you 100 been shot.
Lived.
Have shot.
Right.
The cost.
Some of
Right.
them are paralyzed
cost
the
of
rest of
care.
their
Yeah,
life.
and
Yeah.
I would bet you 95% of them don't have insurance. So you pay for that. So there's a monetary value that goes with violence that is really the
Affecting everybody.
Absolutely. You pay for, I pay for. So I think, so those people with money that can help underwrite these programs should understand that this will save everybody money. It
In the
shouldn't be
long run, that's helping them.
yeah, it shouldn't be a money-driven saving you money, but it's a person's life. And no matter who they are. And again, my middle son played AU basketball, and 2 of the 10 people on his team are dead. Both were murdered.
Really?
Violence. And I knew them when they were 13, 14 years old, and they'd say, they call me Mr. O'Donnell, look, I'm selling drugs, and just, why? And explain it. And they, in their mind, I'm making $400 a day, and they knew death or jail. And they took that chance, because there's
Right.
nobody pulling them away from it in a mentorship program. So can a YMCA set that up where we have people that come from the community? We have a great relationship with the Chad Brown Alumni Association, where there's a lot of people that have done some things wrong in that group that have seen what they've done wrong, and they're trying to mentor those younger kids. And there's a group in that group that have never done anything wrong, that are trying to mentor those kids. So if you can put all those pockets together, I think the Y in general could be a change agent for a city.
It makes sense to me.
Absolutely.
Now, it makes a certain sense to us. And that's where it goes back to your point about where you came from. It's all surrounds death, violence, mission, people, kids. Like someone said to me the other day, every kid comes out good. Every kid. Every boy, every girl.
Wow.
And it's just where they get socialized. They get socialized incorrectly. It's easier to take this way if they don't have a strong group of leaders around them, mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts that
And so many of them don't have.
yeah, and it's this revolving cycle, and you know, don't get me wrong, I don't think the Y is going to solve everybody's problems, but if you have a major facility where you have programs, and not just programs physically here that can tentacle out into other parts of the state, we have great partners, as I said, the laborers, different banks, different insurance companies, they want in to help this, but we just have to find that piece of property. And you'll hear from me when we get that piece of property.
right.
I'll be singing from the, screaming from the rafters to raise money to build that, and I think it'll happen.
Well, we'll have you back then. How's that?
Hopefully it's sooner than later.
And Rose, it was nice meeting you.
Nice to meet
You,
you.
you know what
too.
you did?
What?
You spent part of an hour with Bob.
I did. It was such a pleasure.
And you did,
Always
once
a
again. Well, thank you folks for stopping by. And
to.
I will be looking forward to that land when you get that location. Well, if it's that, the Urban League location or another
We'll
one.
make a room, it'll be Big Bob's
There you go.
room. That'll be your sponsored
Bob's
room.
Room, there you go. Well, folks, Thank you for spending an hour with Bob, Steve O'Donnell, and Rose Jones, right?
That's right.
Of the YMCA of Greater Providence. Hey, we're back on An Hour with Bob with Donna Keahler from
Keep Blackstone Valley Beautiful.
Keep Blackstone Valley Beautiful. And I live in Pawtucket, which is part of the Blackstone Valley.
Perfect.
Now, the Blackstone Valley is designated anything that runs along the Blackstone River, am I correct?
And west, yes.
And west of
Yep,
that.
right. And
Like
the Blackstone,
Smithfield's included?
Smithfield, Gloucester,
Gloucester,
North Smithfield, Woonsocket,
Right.
Pawtucket, Cumberland, Lincoln.
wow.
Yep, we have quite a few communities, and Woonsocket.
Harrisville.
That's part of Burrillville. And
Burrillville.
Burrillville.
You didn't say Burrillville.
No, I did not.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, we don't want to forget them.
No, I have friends who live in Burrillville, so you don't want to say that. So what's happening with your program,
So
your organization?
my
First of all, where are you operating out of?
I am a program out of the Blackstone Valley
Tourism Center,
Count.
which is on the corner of Roosevelt Avenue, Main Street.
Exactly. And we want people to enjoy the Blackstone Valley, come as tourists, but live here, but also have a clean, green, beautiful
Right.
community. So Keep Blackstone Valley Beautiful is a Keep America Beautiful affiliate. So we're really pushing towards ending litter. We want to reduce waste and beautify our communities, and we need the community involvement to make that
I
a
read an
reality.
article in the Valley Breeze,
Okay.
and you were cited in there, you were quoted in there, and that prompted me to contact you about litter, because I police my home, my street itself. And as I told you off camera, I actually take a Sawzall and I go down between where the cement and the curb meets, and I take a Sawzall with a long blade and I go down, because the weeds come up, and they come up a foot. And I'll go down there and it takes the whole root out. So if you use Roundup, it's only going to kill the top. The root's going to come back. It's going to come back as another. But you'll see around my house, you won't see any weeds. And you won't see any trash. I've actually had to shovel trash because the wind blows it down the street.
Oh, boy.
But the thing is, I think the problem is enforcement.
I think the problem is more that people don't understand when they litter, the problem it causes. I
Right.
think they think it's not a big deal. So people throw one water bottle or a couple
Yeah, why is that
wrappers.
though? Why is that?
Because they feel like it's someone else's responsibility, or
To
it
pick it
goes
up.
away, or they don't understand that this item, the material, plastics, has become a huge problem. Doesn't break down, it doesn't go away.
Right.
So that's why we're seeing such an increase in plastic litter, because even though someone thinks it's going to do something with it, it's different than throwing a napkin or a piece of paper. It lasts
Or a
long
mask.
time. The mask.
They're
yes,
all over the
PPE,
place. Everywhere you
yes.
go, they're all over the place.
Yep.
Yeah.
The,
And those nip bottles too.
that's plastic, which
I
lasts
know.
a long time, and people like them, and they're out there. But people also don't understand that the litter travels. So even if someone was to go out and pick it up, it's not always easy on the road. Sometimes they're in the waters, they're in the ponds, they're in the
Right,
trees.
right.
So I think a lot of it is people just don't understand what happens when they throw litter. They don't think it's a big
Well,
deal.
you say understand, I call it ignorance, because I've seen them come out of the milk store and they take a wrapper off, whatever they got, and they got a trash barrel right there, and they throw it on the ground right there.
Right.
It's amazing to me.
Right.
It's absolutely amazing to me.
So Keep America Beautiful has been studying litter and littering behavior, because our goal is to end litter, but really change behavior so we don't
Right.
have it anymore. And one of the things that is a big message we're trying to get out is that people think no one cares if they litter. It's like, it's not a big deal.
Well, I do.
Well, we do, and
I
there's
care
a
if
lot
you
of people
litter.
that do, and that's the message we're sending from my organization, a lot of, community groups, but all the way up to the governor.
All
It's
right,
a big
now,
message
you
for him.
you want volunteers, or you need volunteers, right?
We got it, yep. We
And
can.
how could they get to volunteer? How could people partake in your organization?
So we always think of course, you can go out and pick up litter, right? So there's a lot of community groups that do litter cleanups, especially around Earth Day, you think of it, but they do happen all year long. So
Right.
on my website, I have an ongoing listing of groups when they let me know that they have a
Oh,
cleanup.
that's good, yeah.
So they do happen, and we have
Okay.
one couple groups that continue every week, so you can always join those.
And the website is?
KeepBlackstoneValleyBeautiful.com.
That's easy.
Pretty easy, right?
KeepBlackstoneValleyBeautiful.com.
So that's if you join a cleanup, but you don't have to wait for a cleanup. You don't
Right.
have to wait for someone
Right,
else.
right.
So we're always saying you can do your own cleanup. It can be a small group. It can be your Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. It can be your church group. It can be anything like that.
It can be alone.
It can be alone, exactly. I've come up with some different programs to make it fun to pick up litter. I have a Tree Hugger Tuesday after work cleanup meetup that we partner with a business, and we'll pick up in front of, it's adults only. We pick up on roads that are a little busier that you might not send young children or
Right.
scouting groups or that kind of community groups. But we go out, we pick it up after work, an hour and a half, and then we are offered into the business, and they might offer us some kind of refreshments. It could
Oh,
be
there you go.
a little. We just did one with Panera Bread. We
Yep.
did one with Blackstone Herbs and Coffee in Cumberland. So we clean up around their business, have fun, and then we all meet up each other. So
Well,
that's
good.
really
Well,
fun.
give us the website again, because I got to let you go.
Okay, sounds good. It's keepblackstonevalleybeautiful.com.
Well, thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Hang on, hang on.
Okay.
We'll be right back on An Hour with Bob. Well, folks, here we are. We're back on An Hour with Bob, and I'm bringing a guest that I met recently, an interesting guy, a handsome double, too, from Bristol, Rhode Island. He's a shipbuilder. I had to hesitate when I said that. A shipbuilder. And he makes these boats. It's called North Coast Boats, right? Isn't it
Yes,
North Coast Boats,
yes,
right?
Correct.
And I got Joe DaPonte with me. Joe DaPonte, right? And I was with you yesterday on your boat, and I was so impressed. We were running right along at like 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, we reached like 55 when we coming down the river. Yeah.
Wow.
We got 8 people in the boat.
That's what's amazing to me. With 8 people in that boat, you're doing 55 plus miles an hour.
Yeah, and you see how smooth it rides.
Yes, yes. Your son Craig was
Craig was the captain.
piloted. He was
Yeah,
captain.
the captain,
How old is Craig?
Craig's 28.
Oh, is he? I thought he was younger than that, actually.
No, he's 28.
And Caesar is how
Caesar,
old?
38.
Wow,
10 years apart, yeah.
Wait a minute, 10 years apart?
Yeah.
And you've been married 40 years?
40 years, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everything's even, huh?
Everything's
With the
even.
0 at the
With
end,
the-
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So where are you from originally?
I was born in San Michael, Azores.
Yes.
And I was from a town called Pic de Padre. And I was there till 17 years old. Then the family came over to Bristol. And I came over in 73
Wait a minute, to where?
to Bristol, Rhode Island.
Oh, they came right over
They came right over.
from St. Michael to
From
Bristol,
San
Rhode
Michael
Island.
To Bristol, Rhode Island. And we came on September 28, 1973.
Wow.
And we arrived on a Sunday night, and I start working on the following Monday.
Wow. The next day.
The next day.
Not even 24 hours.
Not even 24 hours, and I was making $1.90 an hour. I used to work 2 shifts.
$1.90 an hour.
$1.90 an hour.
Wow.
And I used to work for companies still in Bristol,
Pearson?
Major Carpets.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, that was a big carpet
It was
manufacturer, right?
that's on the
They
side
turned-
of the street when we went to the boat yesterday.
That's where they turned them all into condos, right?
Yes, yes. So I started there, and they had a factory in Bristol and one in Pawtucket.
Right.
And
Oh, I
I
live in
used to work first shift in Bristol, second shift in Pawtucket.
Cut it out.
Yes.
For how
Yes.
long did you do that?
I did that for a year and a half. Then my father starts working in a company in Portsmouth used to call Pearson Yachts.
Yes. That's where I got the Pearson yachts.
And up until 17, I worked with my father. We are farmer in the old country, and I kind of hesitated to work with my father. I said,
You didn't want to work with your dad.
Nah,
You're shoveling.
but it was more money at the boat factory, so
Right.
I took it and I went work
Pearson,
with my
that's
father.
it.
Pearson.
Yeah.
So when I worked there, I don't even know how to read a tape measure.
Cut it out.
That's how I started. I don't even know how to read a tape
Wow.
measure,
Did you know how to speak English?
not to speak English. So back then, they used to give classes at a high school, Bristol
Right,
High
Bristol
School.
High School.
At night, I used to go to classes at night. So how do I learn how to build boats? They put me on the tooling department, making the molds to make the models.
Right.
And I started bringing the blueprints home at night and study them.
Wow.
That's how I learned. So then after that, I was there for 5, 6 years. Supervisor left there, worked for another company, and he called me 2 days later, you gotta come and work for me.
The
So-
supervisor.
The supervisor.
The supervisor stole you from
Stole
Pearson.
me from Pearson. Then back then was a company right in Bristol called Clock Rider.
Yes.
They used to build sailboats too.
Right, exactly.
So I went over there and I ran the tooling department. And from there, we were doing a lot of sub work for other companies. And at that time, we had a company was around in Bristol for a while too. Used to call Alban Company, Alban Manufacturing.
Albin, yes.
But they used to have a company up in Wallingford, Connecticut. So we were doing a project for them at that time, and the engineering see the way I was working, so he says, "Oh, you're interested in coming and work for us?"
Wow, you're like
I
a
said-
free agent.
Yeah, I was a hard worker. I always was
Right.
a hard worker. So, and I said, I'm good here, you know. But they keep picking my brain. And one day the big boss came down to Bristol. We went out for dinner, and they kind of convinced me. The money they offered me, and back then it was making money. I have to, you know.
Better than $1.90 an hour, right?
Better, yeah. So, but they want me to go to Wallingford.
Oh,
I said,
Connecticut, yeah.
Connecticut. I said, I'm not interested in
Right.
moving out of town.
Right.
And they said, what about if we find some local in Bristol, but you got to go there for at least a couple of months until we set it up. I said, that's fine. So I went to Wallingford. I used to go there for the week, come home on the weekend.
Right.
And after we find a place in Bristol, we start building boats in Bristol. And I
What was
that-
the name of the company then?
Alban.
Oh,
Alban
still
Marine.
Albin. Okay, yeah.
And I was their production manager for like 10 years.
Oh, yep.
10 years or more. Then after that, they moved to Portsmouth, to the old Pearson building. And they hired another engineer, and we kind of don't work too good together.
Right.
So before something happened, I left the company. I went and ran a company out of California, came down here to Fall River Industrial Park. They were looking for somebody to run the company. And they used to do these fiberglass trenches. Back then, all the piping and gas stations used to be a secondary containment. They used to build these troughs out of fiberglass.
Right, right.
That was there for like 5, 6 years. We used to go through 40,000 pounds of resin a week.
Wow.
We used to have these tank wagons dropping off every week, one tank wagon. We used to go through, we used to truckloads of parts going to these gas stations. Then after 5, 6 years, that was early 90s, they come up with a new idea, secondary pipe. They replaced those trenches with fiberglass pipe.
Right, right.
The company just closed up, went back to California, and I went back in the marine industry.
So where did you go from there?
So from there, I helped a friend of mine build a brand new boat, a racing boat, sailboat. I
One
said,
of them 12-meter yachts? One of them 12
it was like, I used to call a Viper 30. It was a small company out in New Zealand, and they built one boat here, a racing boat. He need help, and I helped him out build, and the condition was, I'm gonna help you build this project, then I'm leaving.
Right.
I'm thinking and starting my own.
Oh, you're a free agent.
So, and my own, I started, after that, was around 97.
Yep.
Then I told my wife, look, I'm not going to work for anybody else. I'm going to start my own business.
Wow.
She says, go for it. And I start building car bodies. You saw the car at the factory?
Yeah.
You saw the replica?
Yeah.
And I start building those for a factory down in Dartmouth. Used to call Factory 5. This company's still going. And Dartmouth, big, huge company.
Yep.
And I start building there out of one car garage. And my wife used to come at night, help me pull the parts out of
Cut
the
it
mold.
out. Wow.
Yeah. We did that for a
What
while.
a wife. My God.
Yeah,
That's why you
she's-
lasted 40 years.
Yes, thank for my wife and my kids. I have a good family.
You sure do.
Otherwise, I wouldn't make it this far.
Yep.
So after we start hiring one guy, two guys, and they want me to do more, and the repetition start going around. People want me to build boats again.
Right.
So I got into boats, and I met this gentleman. His name is Rick Lehman. He's the one who designed the old Rampages. I don't know if you're familiar with that boat.
No.
That boat used to be a very popular boat, used to be built at Everpearson and Warren.
Yes. Yeah, I know
He
that
built
place,
those
yeah.
boats for years. And he designed those boats. After he designed them, he kind of kept one of the models, which an 18-footer and a 19-footer. I still have those models. So he came up to me one day and he said, you got to build my boats. I said, okay. How many you looking for? I don't have many people. I had probably 4 or 5 guys. And he says, oh, I don't look for many, but I want you to build my boats. I started building the boats for him. He was like in late 70s, early 80s.
Yep.
He had 2 sons. He tried to pass the business to the son. They don't want
And they
anything
weren't like
to
your
do.
kids.
So he came up to me one day and said, Joe, you got to buy me out. I said,
Wow.
Dick, I don't have money. I have no money. I can't. He says, don't worry about it. We can work something out."
Wow.
And he was a good man. I bought the 2 models from him, and
Right.
I started building boats. So I started having inquiries for a bigger boat. Then he started designing a 23-footer for me. And he had a heart attack. He had a heart
Oh,
attack.
no.
And he didn't last too long. He didn't finish the project. So I had to hire another engineer to finish the project. We finished that project, and there it is. We went on. After the 23, we built a 26. Then we built a 27. Then we
Right.
built a 28. We built a 31. Now the kid's pushing me for a 33-footer.
Oh, really?
Which it's on a drawing board
Now, is there any reason the odd number versus an even number?
It's we kind of skip the number because we find single number works better than double number for some reason. We
Really?
had that, yeah. But we went back on the 26th and what happened was after the 26, we built the 28.
Right.
Then people said, oh, it's kind of a little too big. Then we went back to 25. So now we're trying to fill the gaps.
And the boat we were on yesterday was a 31,
That was
right?
a 31. Now we're going to build a 33. Then probably after that we go back to 32. And we got a little niche because we built cabin boats. Center consoles, it's Florida. The market's Florida with center console.
Right, right.
And it's more for, like around here, the season is so short.
Yeah, Center Council's a fishing
It's
boat.
like, it's a fishing boat, yeah.
Your boat even has a shower, has a
We
tub
bu-
in it.
we
I
built-
mean, a shower in it. and
That
it has-
boat we rode on yesterday, we built 2 versions. We built a fishing and we built a pleasure. So you can get both ends.
Right, right.
You see the seat on the back? You could take
Yes.
the wife,
Yeah,
they
you
love that seat there.
You can
Then
lift it up.
Flip the seat out of the way, you can still
Fish.
fish. It's not on your way.
Right,
So
right.
that's what, and all these years, I mean, I'm lucky and I made it up this far. And But it's not easy right now between finding people to work and.
Well, that's the other point I was going to make.
Yeah, it's
Explain
really
that
tough.
to us. What's your starting wage over there?
We started between $16 and $18. No experience.
No experience.
No experience. And we got guys making $25, $26, $27 an hour, plus benefits.
Right.
and vacation.
You pay benefits.
We pay benefits, and we pay 80%. We got Blue Cross Blue Shield. We pay 80%. They only pay 20%
Wow.
out of that package. And it's expensive. And the only thing we like to pay more, but we can't because you don't want to get to the point price yourself out of the market.
Right. Right.
You got to be in that range, you know, you got to be able to generate sales and at the same time have a good group of people. We went through 30-some people this year alone, and we kept 2.
And we're only in July.
Only half of the year. And it doesn't seem to get any better. And plus, all these companies supplying materials, it's a big problem with engines. We can get engines.
Right.
We got probably 10, 12 boats on the factory ready to deliver.
Right. No
Can
motors.
get engines, no motors. And it's like, how far can you go on this? It's like, it's been very, 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 very painful right now. It's like, but we trying and we try to keep our heads above water. That's all we can do. Because I remember 5, 10 years ago, it was like about a dozen of boat builders in Bristol alone.
Right. Right.
And we the only ones now.
Are you really?
Building the boat stuff to finish, we the only builder.
From beginning to end.
From beginning to end.
I see your
It's
molds.
good on the way,
Yeah.
and the good thing is, Bob, is like people have no other choice. That's the only good thing we have on our side is they come in, they order a boat, we tell them, well, you're not going to see your boat for a year. They wait because if they go elsewhere,
Right.
it's the same.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only plus you get on your side. But we take a notice 2023 already.
Wow.
We look at the board, what do we do? And we got to deliver the product, and we don't know what else to do to find help. That's one of the big things we try. And we have 38 employees right now. We can do with almost double that because we got the work.
You got the work.
We can just find the.
And you got the location to
We
do
got
it?
the local. We got a 60,000 square feet building. We can fill that place up.
So how many boats did you do last year?
We did last year. We did 110 boats, I think.
Wow.
And this year we can build close to 200 boats if we can find people, because we got the orders.
You just need help.
We just need help.
Need workers.
We need workers.
And what do they work at? What's the hours? What's the
The hours we start from 7 to 3:30.
right?
And some guys come in on Saturday, they work from like 5 to 10. On the summertime, they like to get the day off. And we work during the week. If you want to work 10 hours a day, you can work 10 hours a day. The work is there, it's just done. It's not like the old days. The old days, you want to work every hour you can. Now, it's these young generation,
forget about
unfortunately.
it. Forget
it's
about
just-
it. Yeah.
It's too bad because I hope it just goes on like this, but something's gotta break. I don't think it's, I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
I don't think I am. It's
Unfortunately, I don't think you are.
like- yeah.
They don't have the work ethic that we did.
It's too bad because as a company, we can build more. We can hire more people. We can, do all those good things.
And you're paying benefits.
And we pay in benefits, and at the end of the year, we make a profit. We divide that we give bonus to the employees.
Oh, you didn't say that. You're giving bonus too?
We giving bonus too. So you don't know what else to do. And the bonus you work 40 hours a week, you show up to work every day. That guy miss a couple of days a week. He's not going to get the same bonus you get.
Right.
because he didn't put the offer.
Better
on.
incentive, an incentive for the
Yes,
better worker.
incentive,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You shouldn't give the
Yes, yes. So we try to be fair, and you see our place. It's
Yes.
not a bad place to work.
No, it's
And
clean,
it's not
very
it's-
clean.
It's not hard. We got a 40-hour employee. That's all he does: cleaning. That's all he does. And you don't know what else to do. It's just too bad.
We got to find him some workers.
Yeah.
We got to get him some workers.
Yeah.
Good workers. I mean, that's a pretty damn good job,
We know
especially
it.
starting.
And lately we've been here from these young kids, and I got a right to come to work, and I got a right to come to work. We had a meeting this morning. What can we do? Should we buy a small bus? Should we buy
Shuttle
a
them
van,
around?
shuttle, and go around these cities and towns and look for people? You don't know what else to do.
They would still find a way not to work.
Yes.
They would still find a reason. Everybody goes
Yes.
to it. I know people in the medical field.
Yeah.
One in particular, I won't say who. They had 3 people didn't show up yesterday. You know why? Because it was a nice sunny day.
Yeah, and like yesterday, we sit down with the spray guy, the guy who sprayed the paint on the boats.
Right.
He's very important. He's one of the important people to the company. And we sit down with him yesterday because he's been missing a couple of days. And we tell him, what's the problem? What do you need? You need
Right.
help? How can we help you?
He needed a car. He needed a
And
ride.
he says, I need a ride. I said, okay. Last night before he left, 3:30, then at the same time he says, I have 2 other friends, they're looking for work, but they don't have a car. I said, if you can get those 2 other guys to come to work, I find the ride for you guys.
Wow.
Guess what? He didn't show up to work today. And we having this discussion yesterday.
Yeah.
So how
That's
do you?
sad. That's sad. That's
It
very
is.
sad.
It is.
Very sad.
And my line is on I'm on the line because I commit to these customers, and when I commit to something, I get
Right. You gotta produce. And that's your
Because-
reputation.
Yes, and it's so hard to keep quality up, and it's so.
Well,
unbelievable.
let's hope we can help you.
I hope
get some
things
employees.
change, and I hope things get better because it's
Where
been.
would they call if they wanted to get a
They
application?
can go on the website. They can go and I mean,
What is the website? Is it North Coast?
it's a northcoast.com.
Oh,
and if they go-
here's yours. North Coast. Oh, here it is right here. Northcoast.com.
Yeah, they can go and they can find us very easy. We all over, and if anybody wants to find about work, about the boats, anything, they just go on the website and they'll be able to find us. Very easy.
All right, Joe. I'm hoping this works out. I'm hoping this helps you a little bit.
I
all
hope
right?
so. I hope so. So we can go for another boat
That's
ride.
right. We'll go fishing next
we
time.
go fishing.
All right.
Yeah.
Joe DaPonte
Yes.
from Bristol, Rhode Island. North Coast Boats. Thank you, Joe.
Well,
Thanks for
thank
stopping
you.
by.
My pleasure.
Hang in